All right, I think, actually I'm actually moving on the video now, which is good. Apologize for the multiple starts and restarts. We'll run a little bit longer today just because we've definitely been having some stream issues. So let's kind of get back into what we were doing here. How fast does this update? 1,000 to 1,000. Yeah, it's pretty quick. Okay, so I think we're back where we were. All right, so what we were doing was we were trying to compare our profiling. And the reason we're doing that is because just as a sanity check for a prototype, figure out why things are so slow. So in the ALS, which is back in, I believe this is Unreal Engine, this is 4.2.4. Okay, if we run this, all right, it doesn't matter that the shaders are still compiling, it's fine. If we take a look, here we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 enemies, effectively, that are animated and moving around. If we do our stat game, which you can get to by pressing the back tick and then type stat game, you can see our world tick is about bouncing between 7 and 9. Okay, nothing too crazy. Very simple behavior tree though. All right, and our GPUs we're not even gonna worry about here because there's no way. There's no way we should be anywhere near GPU issues. But as a cool sanity check though, our shadow depths are at 2 here, which is a good thing to check as well. So between, let's write this down. Where is our sticky notes? Okay, so for ALS 4, and this is in 4.24, 4.24. This is 10 enemies at 7 to 9 milliseconds. And the shadow depth, which is interesting because that was what the one that was getting us before, is 2 as a reference point. All right, so we'll keep track of that. I'm not even gonna profile the rest of this stuff because that's pretty darn quick. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and kill this and just save our machine some thinking. And then at the same time, we're going to go back and we're going to run the same thing. Here's 10 enemies. Now, the difference, it says offline. Hold on a second. Really? Wow, we're just having a morning, aren't we? Okay, it's definitely working on YouTube. I wonder if there's something going on with Twitch. All right, it definitely looks okay on YouTube. Wish Twitch would offer auto to new streamers, not just partners. Makes no sense. Either way, Flippy. Either way, Flippy. Really appreciate you chiming in. Yeah. Hold on, let me see if I can get the link. I don't know the link to my own YouTube live channel. So awesome. YouTube. It's great. Game Dev Live. Here we are. Okay. Interesting. You know what? I can try to restart Twitch only. All right, I'm gonna give Twitch a second to restart here. Okay, says it's sending. We'll see if it catches up. Interesting. It says it's sending to Twitch, but streaming on... There we go. It says now that it's streaming on Twitch. Oh, nope, sending. There may be something going on with Twitch this morning, y'all. Let me just type that in the chat. Chris, thank you so much for letting me know. Oh, okay. Well, wait, hold on. Two different people. Same. It's Flippy. Hi, Flippy. Welcome back. I just restarted Twitch again. Hopefully that will help. But again, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to give me a heads up. I appreciate it. Getting back to our performance stuff. If we go down to, if we have our 10 enemies on this screen, let's just write this down as a reference point so we can go back to our game. So our world tick, we have 10 enemies. Not really doing that much, but you know, they are, we are displaying health bars. We do have text above their head. There's kind of a lot going on there. So that 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, okay, cool. So let's just write this down as a reference point. We're looking at around, we're bouncing between 17 and 20-ish. That's being generous. 18 and 20-ish. 18 and 20-ish. Okay, so we're gonna log that as our deal here. So this is Horde Wars. This was our original game in Unreal 5, which is a cool comparison point with 10 enemies, and we're doing 18 to 20-ish. Okay. Now, the other thing we'll check while we're here, just for kicks, is let's check our shadow depths, because that was the one that was killing us. Shadow projection, shadow depth. Whoa, shadow depths. What? 0.5. How in the heck is that 0.5? Okay, that is something to look at, because that's great. Shadow depths, 0.5. What kind of lights do we have in this scene? Hold on. We have a skylight and 2 directional lights, and the directional lights do cast shadows. Shadow. And again, as a reminder, just because we've been having so much fun with this stream this morning, the whole reason we're doing this is not because I want to be doing performance testing. I thought we were going to be able to ignore performance for the purpose of our prototype. Also, as a reminder, the whole point of this stream is for anybody who has questions about game dev or Unreal or anything like that, I'm happy to try to help out with those. In the absence of those questions, we're just building our own working prototype and learning a bunch of stuff along the way. Now, I don't want to be looking at performance, but unfortunately, I need a lot of enemies on the screen for my prototype, and I can't even play my game right now because of performance. So I'm trying to run down where the issues are. So what we're doing is we're looking at the current implementation of our prototype compared to some of the old implementation and some third-party games or third-party stuff as well. So we just finished looking at the ALSV4 from old 4.2, 4.24. Now I'm looking at our original implementation of our game before we switched to our new stack. And then look, we have translucent shadows. Shadow resolutions 1.5. Cascade volumes. I'm wondering, Chris, do you work for Twitch? Because you've made a couple comments here. Not just partners makes no sense. Wish Twitch should offer auto. Or Flippy. I'm sorry, I meant Flippy. Because I'm happy to take any kind of, if I need to do or update anything so that it works better with Twitch, I'm happy to do that. Okay, cool. You said your partner streams. I wasn't sure what that meant. Okay, so that shadow depth is pretty nuts. So I'm gonna actually keep this up. Dude, am I actually casting shadows? Yeah, and they don't even look that bad. Are these dudes casting shadows? Absolutely. They actually look pretty good too. Nice and crisp. Okay. So let's just keep that up so that we can use the scene as a reference. And let's bring back our scene, which is the rework to the new stack. And Lyra, or Lyra, depending, I can't say it any other way now. What? How do I have build errors? The command. Hold on a second. Is this writing to the same game? Is that what's happening here? Maybe I won't be able to keep this up. Wow, it's having to rebuild. Oh, that's super weird. I wonder why it's doing that. All right, but we have now 2 reference points for 2 different things. I would like to know what it is about the Horde Wars that our shadow depths are so much. There we go, this came up pretty quickly. That's good. Our shadow depths are so much faster because I think you'll see here as this loads, I think our shadow depths, even though we got them down from 20, they were up at 20. We got them down to 2, but we're still, 4 times slower than that other game, which still had 3 lights in there. I think we got rid of all of our lights. So is this a lumen issue? This might be a lumen issue. Ah, I see. Got it. Well, again, thank you for the tips. I don't know what the auto configuration changed, and it may not have been an issue before because I thought it said excellent. Maybe it was just a Twitch thing, but still very much a noob at this, and so I appreciate all of the tips. It's very cool. 93%, almost there. And we can get back to some of our stuff. All right, here we go. Okay, so same deal. If we take a look and we run the same thing on our game, we're gonna reduce our spawn points, our spawn counts. Oh, you know what? I know where something's going. Okay, this is crazy. I'll show you all in a second. Okay, let's go back down to 0. And let's go 4 here, 4 here, and 2 here. I found something. Okay, I'll do that. Maybe we can try restarting it in a bit. Thank you, Flippy. Hopefully anybody on Twitch saw me post the YouTube thing. Okay, great. All right, so here we go. We're back to our performance testing. I think I know where a bunch of stuff is going for our tick. So let's take a quick look at this. So we're gonna launch the game. We have ourselves and 10 enemies. Now, if we take a look at our game, oh, actually we're not that bad. Not that bad. So theoretically we have 10 enemies. Oh, but they're not doing much. So there's 7, 8. Don't get excited. Oh, I kind of got excited for a second there. All right. Oh no, they are doing something. Dude, they're fully sentient. They're beating on me. Okay, so that's not half bad. We're at 7 to 8. We have 10 enemies on our screen. Well, they're not all here yet. If we eject, we can see these dudes are thinking, and these dudes are a long ways away. So let's actually change this a little bit. Let's restart this, and this time let's change our spawn points. Let's just take this spawn point and go no enemies, and this one will go no enemies, and this one will duplicate, and we'll put 5 here, and we'll put 5 here just so that they're closer and I can run the test. Okay, and then we'll play. All right, they'll come running here in a second. And then if we turn on our game stat, 7 or 8, considering how much we have going on here, I'm not totally upset. We have made progress. Is everybody here? Yeah, it looks like everybody's here. We're bouncing between 9 and 11 with everything that we have going on with our blueprint, or especially our behavior tree. Not totally upset by that. Okay, cool. So let's take a look at our GPU though, because I want to look at our shadow depths. Shadow depths 1.3. That is still kind of high. It's not 4 times what the other one was, but it's still pretty high. And the thing is, we don't even have nice shadows. So now there's one other thing that I wanted to show you. And it is, there's a weird thing that's happening in our code. And I know nobody wants to look at code, but I want to at least show you what it was that I was seeing. Actually, no. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Let's continue our lesson. So we have, remember the whole point of this is to get to the bottom of profiling, using profiling to figure out how this is. So let's wrap this up, even though we've had just a really entertaining time with the streams today. So we have tools that let us profile. We have stat FPS, stat GPU, and stat game. All do 3 different things that are helpful. Right now, we're pretty sure that our problem is our game tick. So how do we do that? So now we know just generally by running stat game, generally where we're spending our time. We're spending 7.8 in the world tick and 7 point whatever in just our normal tick time. So how do we take this to the next level and figure out what's going on? So let's get rid of that. And what I'm going to do, and remember, just in case it's busted from the stream, if you really want to drill down into this stuff, you probably need to get rid of the UI and run in standalone mode to do this. But I'm not going to do that. And what we're going to do here is we are going to do a stat start file. And what this is going to do, check to make sure there's no questions before we get Lumen. I'm still flipping. I'm still trying to figure out if Lumen is the issue. I think at one point during testing between streams, I had turned it was on, and then I had turned it off, but I think it may be back on. So I'm going to turn it back on here in a second, but let's see. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a stat start file. What this is going to do is it's going to tell Unreal to start dumping all the profiling information to disk. So right now it's actually bumping all of this stuff, and it tells you, how big the file is in the top left corner. That's more than enough time because I just want to profile just one quick section, and I'm going to stop the file. So that puts a bow on it, finishes it off. Let's go ahead and do a quick check to answer Flippy's question on whether or not Lumen is on. Lumen. Yes, we are using, well, no, we're not. Well, our stats is there. Hold on. Lighting. Allow static lighting. Lumen. Surface cache. Ambient occlusion. Is it under rendering? Frame start. Nav. Never. I'm blanking on where Lumen is. This is all Vulkan stuff. Render rules. Nav meshes. Oodle, Lumen. Reflection method. Dynamic global illumination method, none. Okay, so if we set this back to Lumen, that's just for kicks real quick. We'll rerun our stat. We are definitely much brighter. And if we do our stat game now, it's a little slower, but I would expect some of that to be not in the game, but in the GPU. Oh, look at that, shadow depths of 0.8. That actually lowered our shadow depths. Interesting, but not meaningful. Not a huge change. So I guess we can keep Lumen on again. All right, so back to what we were doing. We've dumped our stat file to disk. Whew, we are super digressive today. We dumped our stat file to disk, so now how do we look at it? Let's take a look at our session front end. All right, the session front end is kind of like a bunch of the profiling tools. And in here on the last tab, depending on how you're set up, there's a profiler. And from there, we can just choose load. And usually I'll take you right to the directory where I put it. Today's the 23rd. If we drop in, you just pick this file and you open it. All right. Now, when you do that, this is going to show you kind of where you are just overall for your stats. And you'll see this big old red list of all kinds of scary stuff that's printing at the bottom. And if you click on any specific frame, all of the stuff below is going to update. So if I click on this spike, you'll see that it's showing me a whole bunch of stuff happened on that frame, like universal searches, upd messages. But the interesting one is the game thread on that frame is 32 milliseconds. Okay, if we click down here on this low, you'll see that our game thread, and this is the one that we're interested in, our game thread down here is 14.4 milliseconds. Okay, now what we can do is we can take an average too. So if we go from just before this spike and after the spike by drawing and dragging, it'll update, and now our game thread averaged out is 19. So there's a couple of things that are worth looking at. All right, and now what do we do with this information? Let's just pretend the spikes are something weird. So if we just look at the averages through this time and we take a look at our game thread right here is running at 18. Okay, if we open this up, what we can do is we can start to drill down on what in the game thread is taking so much time. So here our frame time is 8.8. Dude, look at this. Total Slate tick time, 7.5. Slate is the Unreal UI. Okay, that's all the UI commands and everything like this. Like this is drawing windows and children. So this is why I mentioned that if you're running a profile, you want to make sure you do it in standalone mode to get an accurate thing. If we look at our frame time though, our world tick time's pretty high. We can kind of dig into this. Here's our pre-physics. You just kind of keep drilling down and you can see where you're spending your time. Game task, ftick function, and then it breaks it down. And so you can kind of start to see, okay, our character mesh skeletal component is 1.1, and you can kind of start, and so what you're looking for is what the heck is taking so long? And in this case, you know, none of these are super crazy, and it's good to be able to dial that in. So that's pre-physics, in physics, and during physics. During physics. This is all of our behavior tree stuff. So right now, for one of our controllers, our behavior tree is at 0.4 milliseconds. It's pretty interesting. Now, if we go and look at these spikes, I want to see what is happening in this spike. So if we look at our game thread, now we're all of a sudden at 32. All right, so where's our spending our time? So our slate tick time is still should be the same because the UI has not changed. It's still the same. If we look at audio update time, wow, 14 milliseconds to update the audio. You know what that is? I wonder if that's the sound of the melee attack. Like we're literally doubling our frame rate because of the sound from a melee attack? Oh, that's kind of wild. Look at that. It's at a specific beat. Boom, 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 boom. That might be the sound of a melee attack. Okay, that's worth looking at. Our actual frame time is not that bad. Our world tick time, 8. Tick time. Pre-physics. All this looks good. So 2 things are killing our performance right now, and here's the thing. You find the thing that's killing your performance, then you fix it, and then everything readjusts. Okay, so at that point, you know, the stuff changes. And so what do I mean by that? Let me show you. Oh, I just killed the front end. Bummer. Okay, that's fine. So let me show you what I mean by that. There is a tool, there's a last tool that I can show you to visually show you what I'm talking about. If we do a GPU, profile GPU, this pops up. Oh, it crashed. It did not like that. Okay, I saved it. Okay, you'll see each of these bars. This is another way to visualize the GPU performance. If I click on this, this is the diffuse and direct AO. This is our scene lighting for Lumen. Here's our shadow depths. All right, 1. Now, still seems high. Something's going on here. If I kill this and we go back and we go to our lights, I can show you what I mean by that. Let's go back to our key light and let's increase our shadow stuff. Back to 4. Now when I do this, our shadows should now be much more crisp on the ground. You can kind of actually make out the profile of me. And if I look at my GPU, see this big green, this green bar or shadow depths? Now we're at 2, right? So once you make an adjustment to fix it, all the bars are adjusted and then something else becomes the hotspot and you have to fix that. I'm not trying to fix all my performance issues right now. I'm just trying to make it so that I can actually play my game. And if we just change our shadows down to 3, and actually you can see these adjust live, it's kind of cool. We go to 3, 1, 2, 1, 5. Interesting. Where's our GPU profiler? Let's see what that's doing. Stat GPU. Shadow depths right now is at 1.37. If we go down to 1, our shadow depths drop to 0.5. Come back to 3 and we go down to 1 here. Our shadow depths drop to, they don't really change. So we can keep this at 3. That doesn't seem to change too much. Or we can use this to make it better. Let's go 2. No, 2 here. And 5 here. And our shadow depths are now at 1. Okay. 1.4. Shadow depths of 1.4. Shadow depths are 1.3. Yeah, so I think the best answer here is to go 2 and 5. That's fine. We can leave that at that for now. And that pretty much wraps up kind of the world that I've been living in over the last few days, because I've been trying to figure out why I can't have 10 enemies on the screen without losing performance. And so I did basically just bring up my FPS. I've been watching it. The fact that, you know, these are pretty basic characters. The fact that I'm not over 60 or 90 right now is kind of interesting. So I'm gonna have to learn to look past the shadows. And it's either that or I'm gonna have to just shut them off because the flickering is kind of annoying. Yeah, there's a notable difference there. Didn't really affect our frame rate though. Interesting. Okay, so we have some things to track down. We should probably figure out what's going on with our audio frame rate. I did want to mention one other thing that I was going to talk about, which was that I was noticing there was in one of my previous profilers. Let me see if I can actually bring it up here. Tools, session front end, profiler. If we load Unreal Stats, this would have been from a couple days ago. Where's our game thread here? Game thread, way up there. Frame time, world tick time, during physics, task graph, tick functions. That's not it. There was a task that I was hoping to show you that was basically, I realized that our enemies were not spawning. Our enemies were having trouble spawning, so they were kind of spawning on top of each other. And the result of that was that it was causing problems with a encode, where it wasn't actually properly finishing this loop. And so in code, it kept trying to respawn the enemies. And as a result, we were getting hammered in our time. So here we go, this drops down. Let's see here, game thread. I was hoping I could just show you all. Here we go, game thread, frame time, slate time. That's not frame time. World tick time. Yeah, this isn't it. I can't find it. That's okay. Basically, what was happening was, we'll go ahead, we're gonna wrap this up for today. So basically what was happening was, when the enemies were spawning, they couldn't. And so it sent it into a loop where they continually tried to respawn over and over and over and over again. And so what would happen is that code was still trying to respawn, but it couldn't, and it was inadvertently affecting our tick time. So those are the kinds of things that, you know, you find as you chase down some of these profiling stuff. That was specifically in our try respawn NPC, I believe it was, inside C++. No way I would have even found that if it wasn't for the profiler. And also, I was able to prove out the speed differences because I was able to grab that in code and set the spawn point to be, oh, I know how I fixed it. That's why. I was able to set the spawn point to 0. What it ended up being was there was an enemy spawner that was inside a box. And so it was not able to find a proper spawn point. It was like inside of one of our obstacle cubes or something like that. And so once I moved all of my enemy spawn points to be in good positions, that spawner no longer had a problem, and it wasn't continually trying to respawn and eating up tick. So that was another big thing as to where a bunch of our performance was going. So this felt like crazy Wild West haphazard streaming problem, fun stream of sorts. Flippy, thank you so much for chiming in. Duong at the beginning, thank you for reminding me to stream the screen. it's remind me not to stay up too late watching season finales the night before I have to stream at 8 o'clock in the morning. So, but what this should do, hopefully, is put us back into a point where we're gonna dial in a little bit of our performance and we can get back to the stuff which I was trying to do, which was, work on and the actual encounter, right? We're trying to get to our first playable encounter. And I basically, the minute we put 30 enemies in the scene, we came to a halt and we couldn't do anything. And that sent us on this crazy tangential profiling thing, which hopefully it's helpful to some. There's a lot of really good video resources out there on the internet about profiling and what you can do. Remember, if you really want to dial in, you want to run in standalone. I hope everybody has an amazing rest of your week. Again, we're here Sunday nights and Wednesday mornings. Flippy, I'm curious what you all are up to. If you get a chance, send me. I love checking out new stuff. And for anybody who's in the US, I hope you have a great holiday. And for everybody else, don't work too hard, have a great time, and I will catch you all on Sunday. Sweet, later.